All right, welcome to another edition of Snug Wrestling, your favorite professional wrestling podcast, here today with the crew to help me cover tonight's July 13th, 2026 edition of Monday Night Raw, a pseudo go-home show, if you will, because we do have Saturday night's main event this upcoming weekend. Now, I will say this before I pass it to the amazing panel of gentlemen that join me every single week. That, of course, being Tommy and Toxic and the founder of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, and of course, me, myself, Mr. Blood, your four-man panel of this illustrious show. I would like to note my personal thoughts on Monday Night Raw really quickly, where I know it's a go-home show, but it felt more like this entire show was set up for SummerSlam rather than Saturday night's main event. I think maybe one thing got set up for Saturday night's main event, two max, but I feel like we spent the majority of the show skipping anything of note happening this weekend. And they were like, nah, we're making this match for SummerSlam, and nah, this contendership is for SummerSlam, and this segment's for SummerSlam. So I didn't know if y'all caught that, but I was kind of wondering. I was like, well, this is still technically a go-home show. We know Saturday night's main event is not technically a PLE. It's considered a WWE special of sorts that happens a couple of times a year. But the way that they build up some of these things, we do know some special things are happening. We know that Roman Reigns is announced to be at Saturday night's main event this weekend. So that might be a way to draw in more viewers because he'll also be there with Jalen Brunson. I believe that's an NBA player. But as far as that's concerned, that's really, to me, the biggest thing that was announced for this weekend at all. Aside from, whatever matches might be going on, that the biggest draw of this weekend, in my opinion, is what the hell's Roman Reigns doing with Jalen Brunson at Saturday night's main event? Which should really paint a picture of how little I think many people seem to care, or at least the low energy people have towards this show, is that I feel like they had to put Roman on the show, baby, to push a few extra tickets. But other than that, I'm ready to get into the show. But please, gentlemen, tell me how you're feeling about Monday Night Raw and how you're doing today.
I'm doing good. Today was an okay day, but last week we were in Tommy's territory for Raw, but we are in my territory for Raw this week. So welcome to Texas, people. But personally thought Raw was great. There was a few things I didn't really care for, but I'm excited to get into it.
I am also extremely excited to get into it. Overall, there were only two real segments that were extremely difficult to watch, in which we'll get into those. But when it comes to myself, I am still dealing with a little bit of discomfort with my back, unfortunately, as I went through yesterday with that sunburn of mine. So overall, that's really about it. Other than that, this day's been pretty damn good.
Yeah, it seemed kind of surprising. Some of the matches that we got for Saturday night's main event kind of felt like out of the blue. Just really quick, we will be doing predictions later on in the week, but we have the tag team match with Cody and Punk versus Sami Zayn and Gunther. Bayley versus Lyra. That one got built up a little bit on this episode of Monday Night Raw. Brie, Bella, and Paige are going to defend the women's tag team champions versus Fatal Influence. And this match right here was the one that seemed kind of out of the blue. I didn't think we were going to get a match like this for Saturday night's main event. Danhausen versus JD Madonna. And that's going to be a no DQ match. But yeah, most of the show was focused around SummerSlam. And these matches were kind of just like, oh, and by the way, we're going to have these on Saturday before SummerSlam. So there's a lot of things going on in the WWE right now. But yeah, it kind of just feels like Saturday night's main event just kind of feels like an afterthought. But other than that, I'm doing good. I enjoyed Monday Night Raw. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Edgar. Like, it genuinely feels like the Saturday night's main event card is like a here, damn card. Like, they're like, well, fuck, I guess we did put it on the calendar. Here, damn, take it. Because there's not a fucking match on this card I care about. I'm going to be completely honest with you. We're doing predictions. I'm excited for predictions. But this legitimately, feels like, who cares about the women's tag team match? I love Paige and I love seeing Paige and Paige, my gothic goddess upon high. And I don't give a fuck about Danhausen. He has not grown on me at all like he has the majority of the fans. I get his gimmick. It's just not for me. JD is a fantastic wrestler, but this is not going to be a wrestling clinic like JD versus Finn would be. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, Bailey versus Lyra. I've told you guys for months and months, almost a year now, that I have really had Lyra grate on my patience and this entire story grate on my patience. And I don't care that they're broken up. And I was hoping they'd make it more interesting. And I'll get into my thoughts on Lyra here in a few segments, specifically, because I got some shit to say. But all in all, like I said, like when, we had the tag match with Cody and Jay or whatever versus Gunther and Sammy. But it's like, okay, it's a tag match that they would book for the main event of Monday night or Friday Night SmackDown. Like, Roman is honestly, in my opinion, the highest profile thing on the show, and he'll probably be on camera for 5 minutes. So, I don't know. It feels like an afterthought. You hit the nail on the head there, Edgar. But that being said, we are in Dallas, Texas tonight, or we were and they are. And we open up with a Brock Lesnar segment. Brock and Heyman come down, but they're not alone. They've got some trainee police officers with them, definitely straight out of the Performance Center. Now, the crowd goes crazy with Oba chants before he even comes out. Heyman says the cops are for Oba. He says what I said a few weeks ago that I got crucified for online for some reason, where I straight up said, look, Oba is stupid for giving up a title shot, a world title shot that every man and woman in this building would kill to have. He is literally giving it up for a match with Brock, a match he's already had with Brock twice, mind you, but he's never competed for a world title. But somehow he's obsessed with Brock. But then Paul Heyman admits that Lesnar's obsessed with Oba. When he goes hunting, he's thinking about Oba. When he's working out and training, he's thinking about Oba. I can't wait for this match with Oba in this Hell in a Cell. Heyman also says some bullshit about, hey, I got a restraining order. My dad was, who's a lawyer, is friends with the judge here in Dallas, and I got this injunction put out against Oba. But Oba then comes out, and basically before anybody can say a damn thing, Oba just destroys these freaking cops. Just ragdolls the shit out of them. And when it comes down to it, Heyman and Brock, they get out of the ring, they go up the ramp, but Oba gets on the mic and he cuts a smaller promo, but he makes a good point. He makes a point that a lot of fans would have thought of. And I feel like it's WWE cleaning up any potential plot holes here. Oba acknowledges, he says, you know what? Even if I went for the title, Brock would have cost me that title anyway. He would have cost me the match, and it wouldn't have ended in my favor. So why would I choose the title match? You would ruin my opportunity. He says, no longer is Brock able to run. There's nowhere for Brock to run. And that basically ends the segment. But what did you guys think of this? I like that Oba acknowledges that had he gone with the title match, Brock would have cost him the match anyway. That was a prediction a lot of us had if he had gone to SummerSlam against Reigns. But at the same time, I also like that he acknowledged the elephant in the room. I got crucified for this on our post, but the truth is, why the fuck would you forego a title shot you went through a whole tournament to earn for a third match with a guy you've already beaten once? You have literally nothing to prove. But what did you guys think of this segment?
Excuse me. Personally, I didn't care for the opener of Raw until Oba came out, because that's when things started getting interesting. But I mean, I thought Brock and Paul were very bland this week. I mean, which is unusual for Paul. Brock, it's usual for, but unusual for Paul, because Paul's stuff is usually great when he's a part of the opener. But this week, nope, he was just boring as hell and a chicken shit. So I kind of didn't care for it. I cared for it more at the end than the beginning.
Yeah, it was overall pretty decent for me, even though as soon as Oba Femi came out, it completely broke the concept of a restraining order, in which Paul Heyman said they had on Oba Femi when he came a good 10 feet from Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Luckily, though, later on in the show, we find out that what we already knew, which was that the restraining order was a bunch of bullshit. It did not exist. There was no legal thing with it. There was nothing. It was a bunch of full-on bullshit. And if that wasn't already shown just during the opener, because legally, if he were to get within 100 feet of Brock Lesnar or Paul Heyman, instant arrest. And that's how we found out, yeah, it was just a bunch of bullshit.
I mean, legally speaking, technically here, as someone who's filed an injunction and a restraining order against someone in the past, in order to get that restraining order, a lot of times, or most of the time, you have to be served with it first, because they have to give you the copy of your paperwork, or they bring you in front of a judge who gives a time limit on how long the restraining order is allowed to stand for. So I was like, kind of convenient, got that restraining order. Does Oba know? Because I don't think he got served.
Well, the fact that the restraining order wasn't real, also, probably the cops weren't real either, obviously, right? Because I was like, I love this segment, except for the fact that, the cops were out there bumping and selling like pro wrestlers. And I'm like, before, I feel like they used to get at least, I don't know, just better cops, but whatever. Besides that, there was so many things that I loved about this. Now, last week we saw Paul Heyman and Oba Femi, which I kind of complained that I was tired of seeing Oba and Paul Heyman cutting promos on each other, that I wanted to see Brock Lesnar show up more often to hype up these matches. And there was people in our comments that kept saying, well, Brock Lesnar doesn't talk. He doesn't cut promos. He never cuts promos. But he doesn't need to cut promos. Just him being there changes the energy of this segment, and it's more exciting because it's more unpredictable. It's like when Brock is there, you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what's going to happen. And it got crazy. They showed up with cops, and Paul Heyman even, says some crazy shit when he's explaining the restraining order. He slips in a little line in there that says, I'm protecting my money because, Oba Femi and also Brock Lesnar is a law-abiding citizen, which is like, with everything that's been happening and then the shit Brock Lesnar is being accused of, for Paul Heyman to say he's a law-abiding citizen and then automatically Oba's music hit. I thought that was, I probably should not be saying, I thought that was a great line because of some serious shit Brock Lesnar has been accused of. But the fact that Paul Heyman snuck that line on there I thought it was pretty funny. So yeah, man, Oba Femi's promos literally give me chills. Like the way that he cuts his promos, like it's like it gets you going, it's like, oh shit, like it's exciting. Like whenever he cuts an intense promo like that, the way that he did tonight. It's fucking amazing, dude. And I also saw it live in person. It hits different in person. But man, another home run for Oba in this segment, and gets you more hype for the match. So I thought it was great.
Absolutely. All right, moving on over to our first match of the evening, which was Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez. Now, again, a lot of this is filler matches that Io's been involved in, because it's not so much it's filler as it is to build the overall story and match for her in Liv. But Liv really only keeps getting involved in, the segments the matches afterwards and post-match beatdowns now. This is the second or third time this has happened. It is getting a little long in the tooth. I would kind of like them to figure out a different way to build this match other than Io goes out, wrestles someone in the Judgment Day or another person, and they come out, cost her the match, attempt to cost her the match, or they beat her down afterwards. It's the same formula. That being said, Io did win with a reversing another roll-up into a roll-up. It was an O'Connor roll. But, of course, they told the story in the match of Io's knee getting worked on and it being a problem. So a lot of her offense was grounded versus that more high-flying, agility that she's known for. It was affecting her ability to do the over-the-moonsault. It was affecting her springboard ability. But also it was hard for her to just get a better base against Roxanne. Now, of course, Io gets jumped after the match. Sol Ruca comes out to make the save. She's doing a great job, unfortunately, until Raquel Rodriguez catches her mid-Hurricane Rana and slams her head up against the barricade, lifts her up, and then powerbomb runs her back and head first into the ring posts, and then she's basically out of commission. This is then what leads to them jumping Io even further, putting her in another submission, and then basically just beating the fucking hell out of her and then holding her so Liv can title smack her, which looked like it connected really hard with her face, to end the segment. But what did you guys think about this?
Going into it, I just really didn't care for it, but it was a hair-pulling fight at the beginning. It's literally what they were. They traded turns, like pulling each other's hair, so I didn't really care. But as it started to get interesting and as the match started going on, I liked it. But it was just a match that one that there's nothing to write home about. But I figured Sol would have come to have Io's back because she helped her retain last week. So that didn't hold my interest for long, though, because Raquel fucking destroyed her. But I see Sol and Io going against some combination of the Judgment Day girls next week.
Yeah, I definitely see Sol and Io against possibly maybe Roxanne and Liv to kind of push forward more that title match that they've got at SummerSlam. So there is that. And overall with the match, it was pretty decent for me. Although, of course, the ending was the Judgment Day's MO, which is, hey, interference galore. That's just how that always works with the Judgment Day. Is I'm just going to interfere in every single one of these matches that I possibly can, or cause a distraction somehow. That's exactly what happened overall. But that ending of this entire segment of the Oblivion and then the title smack, it's clearly showing that Liv Morgan is absolutely prepared for anything that Io Sky can put after her. It's the entire reason why the entire match Roxanne was also going after that knee.
Yeah, not only is Liv Morgan prepared, but this kind of continues that intensity that Liv Morgan had. Was it like last week or the week before when Liv Morgan told Io, like, hey, it's not going to be the same like Night of Champions. This time it's different. And they're kind of telling us that this is going to be a more fierce version of Liv Morgan. And we saw that again tonight because they not only took out Io Sky, they took out the Intercontinental Women's Champion Sol Ruca as well. And they were standing tall over both of these women. So it shows that, the Judgment Day, they're not messing around, right? So I like that. The match made sense. Io Sky won. She has to win to, look strong going into her match versus Liv Morgan. So yeah, I thought it was a nice piece of business. I think they're on the right path to making this match a little bit more interesting for SummerSlam for Io versus Liv Morgan. We have a couple weeks left, so I'm hoping that they turn up that intensity for the Judgment Day to make them look more like a bigger threat. But we'll see.
All right, if you're tired of flimsy sunglasses that look the same as everyone else's, check out Aquila. These are handcrafted, limited run shades straight out of Los Angeles, made from 50% recycled materials like plant-based cellulose acetate and titanium. They've got UV blocking, sun lenses, blue light options, and even prescription lenses, all built to last and look clean. Plus, Aquila is serious about sustainability. They're a member of the nonprofit organization 1% for the planet. And that means 1% of every sale is donated to reputable environmental organizations around the globe. And because you listen to Snug Wrestling, you get an exclusive 10% off any order with the code SNUG at checkout. Full transparency, when you use that code, we earn a small commission, but it helps keep the show rolling and get you top tier eyewear in return. So head on over to Aquila.la. Again, that's AKILA.LA and level up your look responsibly. All right, now we are moving on to the Vision segment. Now, this was an interesting segment tonight. This is a segment that I wanted to see a couple weeks ago, but I'm glad we got it here. Now, here's the thing. I'm happy with the majority of how this segment went. In fact, I called how the majority of this segment was going to go several weeks ago. I said this verbatim. This was the Vision coming out to speak with the newly fully heel-turned Maxine, although we weren't sure yet how far that heel turn had gone. Now, before Maxine can speak, because they hand her the microphone to talk, Otis and Tozawa come out. Now, Maxine talks to them without the Vision in the ring. They eventually finally get to a place where just the three of them can talk. Akira says, look, this isn't who you are, Maxine. You are a good person, but Austin Theory is not. Otis then goes ahead and basically tries to win Maxine back over, finally confessing that after all these years, he has feelings for her. But before he can really get anything out, Theory mocks him from outside the ring, making fun of him, getting on the apron, and really just shitting all over Otis to the point where he loses his temper and yanks Austin over the ropes in the ring and begins to beat the holy fucking shit out of him. Now, of course, this is what I really liked, is that when Braun Breaker gets in the ring to basically help Austin Theory, Otis looks like an absolute fucking unit. He's beating the shit out of both of these guys. Okay. He's laying them out. He's stacking them up. He's knocking them out of the ring. Hell, even Akira was able to reverse Braun Breaker and get him dumped out of the ring. Now, much to Akira's chagrin, he gets tossed over the announcer's table and he gets basically taken out. Now, what happens is essentially Maxine looks like she's still trying to reason with Otis. She gets in between Otis when he's about to land the final blow on Austin Theory. And it looks like for a moment that she's going to accept his feelings, even turning him around and essentially getting to a point where she's leaning in to kiss Otis. But that was all a distraction. So Austin Theory could low blow Otis. And what hurt the most was watching Maxine snarl in Otis's face and shove his face to the ground. They get back in the ring, that being Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. They lift up Otis after he gets knocked out with brass knuckles handed to them by Logan Paul. He gets hit with a super fucking torpedo spear, laid out and left just unconscious. And Maxine and Austin Theory stand over them with her foot on his chest. This shit hurt, but it was executed extremely well. I would have loved to have seen Chad out here in some capacity or even reference this backstage in a segment. I would have loved to have seen something, I thought it was mostly perfect. I really did. I don't want to nitpick it apart. I will just say I wish Chad was involved in some way or form. But this was a great segment for me, even if it was a couple of weeks late.
I really don't know what to think about this entire segment because, Otis and Tozawa has every right to be pissed at Maxine because, they've warned her Austin Theory is no good. So, but, before she, really, really confirmed that she's turned on them, she made a good point, too, that, she said, listen, if you said that I was with Austin, then I'm not with you. So, okay, I'm not with y'all then. So, that made sense, too, but I don't really understand. Part of me doesn't understand. It feels like there's a plot hole somewhere in this segment to me.
You just named it.
What?
You just named it. First off, she said that to Otis. You told me that I couldn't be with you guys if I was with Austin. You gave me a choice. Here's the thing. I thought back to every segment over the last few weeks. They never said that to her. There was never a choice given to her on screen. Not once. There was 2 times where they looked at her when she walked away and they didn't approach. And then there's the other segment where they went, what are you doing? That's not a good guy. And she just said, I know what I'm doing. You have to trust me. I know what I'm doing. And she leaves. There was never a single solitary segment where Otis said, if you're with them, then you're not with us. He never said that. That's the plot hole.
Well, okay then, but I really just would have loved Chad to be out here, especially after they beat him up, like maybe just running past them to check on them. But I forgot about the gauntlet. He was in that. So plus, I didn't think if we were getting something tonight, then we'll more than likely get something down the road from him. But I mean, it seems like a fairy tale. I mean, or a love movie. Like the woman gets with someone, then the other person that likes them decides to admit, and I don't know. I'm on the fence about this entire thing. So, yeah.
When I said that there were two segments that were hard to watch for me, one of them is this segment here. Just overall, it started off for me when Maxine said the Alpha Academy gave her a choice. They did not. There was one person that decided to give her a choice, and that was Theory. Austin was the one that went, hey, if you're not going to be with us, then this isn't going to work. That was Theory that gave her a choice. Otis and Tozawa didn't say shit. And then you've got the whole thing with Otis trying to confess his feelings to Maxine and Theory shutting it down. I couldn't get into this segment. I really couldn't. It was extremely hard to watch for me.
Yeah, most definitely was hard to watch. And I was actually hating this. I knew I was going into this like, man, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to like this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. And then after the end of it, I was like, holy shit, that was actually good. Because I actually felt bad for Otis and Akira Tozawa. And I actually cared for them. And they made me want to see Otis beat the fuck out of the Vision. Because at first I was like, oh man, like the last thing I want to see is Braun Breaker and Austin Theory get mixed up with fucking, with guys that aren't really used during the show. Like, I don't have anything against like Otis or Tozawa, but it's like, really, we're going to put Tozawa in the same ring as Braun Breaker? Okay, fine. But yeah, like Toxic, like you said, this was like a love story, like a movie, and it's relatable. And a lot of people I feel like that's just wrestling, man. Like you want to see your favorites beat the crap out of these mean guys, right? Because they said the worst things, the worst names to Otis. They called him fat. They called him disgusting. They called him all the names in the book, right? Just the worst of the worst. And it was uncomfortable, but when they were fighting back, it was like, yeah, get him, So I thought it was great, actually. And I want to see what comes next from this.
Hard to watch or hard while watching? Moving on to Royce Keys versus Jimmy Uso. Now, this match kind of pissed. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. He looked at me like a disappointed father. All right, moving on to Royce Keys versus Jimmy Uso. Now, this actually pissed me off, and I'll tell you why. This shit started during the fucking commercial break, the ad breaks, because they spent this show, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, a couple of these segments seem like they were like, we're rushing. They rushed through a few of these different matches, these segments, because it felt to me like they knew they had to get to the gauntlet match. They knew they had to do every single part of that and then still do a fucking 15 near 20-minute segment at the end with Seth and Roman. And I feel like they were just rushing. Like when we cut back from the break, this match has already started. They're already in the ring. I was like getting whiplash. Like, wait, the fuck? Did I like blank out or scroll on my phone or something before the ad started? But no, it's because during the break, Royce Keys and Jimmy were brawling down to the ramp, and then Adam Pearce came out and just said, get in the fucking ring, here's a match. Now, essentially, this match is going on for not even that long until we get a camera shot, one shot of Jacob Fatu making his way all the way through the back, through Gorilla, out through the crowd, and then into the ring, where he causes a DQ by attacking Royce Keys. So technically, Royce got the win here. Now, what I liked about Jacob's interference was I liked his character work. I like that he's conflicted. He's like shouting and screaming. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do this. I told you, let it go. Stay out of the way. I didn't want to do this to you. And he's genuinely frustrated because as commentary is putting over while he's shouting, he was reluctantly added into the bloodline because he lost and had to join. But now he's full-fledged in his loyalty. But that doesn't mean that he just wants to hurt anybody and everybody. He tried to reason with Royce Keys last week. And now, I mean, when Jimmy was talking shit to him on SmackDown, he literally said, whoa, there ain't no we here. This is a you thing, Jimmy. And he's like, I didn't want to do this. Now, of course, this is when Solo Sikoa comes out to save Royce, which was kind of crazy. He begs Jacob to stop and says, look, if you don't hurt him, leave him alone. I've come to my senses. I was being stupid. I'm coming home to the bloodline. Now, this makes Jacob happy. This makes Jimmy happy. They stand side by side. Solo's in the middle, raises the ones, turns it into a thumb, and spikes Jimmy for a great visual. Now, of course, Jacob starts beating the piss out of Solo, setting him up. He's like, I told you, I warned you, yada, yada. But then LA Knight comes out to a massive fucking pop with a steel chair and saves Solo Sikoa and Royce, making a match for SummerSlam, a 6-man tag. Jimmy J and Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt versus LA, Solo, and Royce Keys. Now, my one question here is that does this mark a babyface turn for Solo? Because you can argue that Jacob and Jimmy have been acting like heels. Now, Jay was kind of acting heelishly first, even though he's still a baby face. Roman, people think is a heel or a tweener heel. But then tonight, I'll get into later when he comes out, he showed baby face the entire time. Then you've also got, then you have what LA says to Solo on the ropes. He goes, it'll be me and Royce. Hell, even Solo. And Solo looks proud of himself like, yeah, it's me. And I'm thinking, well, Solo made a save twice. So is he a babyface now? But what are your guys' thoughts on this whole thing?
I really liked their match on Friday, but I felt like something felt missing from it before the whole shenanigans with Solo and Jacob started on Friday. So I actually like this match, but it's clear they currently aren't doing anything with Royce Keys on SmackDown. So if you have to, for the sake of this story, put him over on Raw because he looked more like a Raw star to me tonight. And plus he's more involved with the bloodline right now. But I like the entire thing afterwards because one, that 6-man tag match was inevitable, except for Royce Keys. I didn't see him getting in that. But you could just tell that Jacob attacking Royce, like he did not want to do it. He just doing what he has to survive in the bloodline. And you can hear the pain in his voice when he's saying, I don't want to do this to you. I tried telling you, stay out of the family business. Just stop. But I liked everything about this segment.
Yeah, this segment, although it started off going, hey, look, here's this. You didn't get to see how it started. So, and the fact that it just started that quickly, that kind of drew me off. But here's the question. And here's the question I had on my mind during the ending of this segment. Are they setting up for November? Are they setting up for War Games? Because we've already got 3 on each side. All we need is the full set on this side, in which we've already got with Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Jacob. All we really need is a 5th member. And then we've got only 3 on the other side with LA Knight, Royce Keys, and and Solo Sikoa. Are we setting up for War Games? That's the biggest thing that popped into my head, because if they took this to the cage and dragged this all the way out till November, I would not mind seeing that at War Games.
Yeah, I had a lot of issues with the commercial breaks of this episode of Monday Night Raw. This was one of them. I at least they played a video package that kind of gave us an idea of what happened. So that was, I guess, thank you. But yeah, even during the gauntlet match, we'll get into later on, there was a lot of fucking commercials during that thing. And there's something else too that I want to mention before we forget. I don't know if you were planning on speaking about this, but apparently there was a certain video package that played that I didn't see. So I'm wondering if it was played during a commercial break, but we'll get into that in a little bit if you guys want to. Yeah, man, if you asked me in the year of 2026 that we were going to be getting Royce Keys, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa in a fucking tag team, I'd be like, what the hell are you smoking? But that's what we're getting. That's what came out of all of this. It set up a 6-man tag team match at SummerSlam, I believe. And yeah, I think they're trying to turn Solo babyface. And I mean, we kind of mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, like that, how that dynamic would be kind of weird because I don't think the people would get behind Solo. But then again, Solo does have that goofy side that a lot of people seem to gravitate to, and we kind of saw that tonight when he was like beating up on Jimmy Uso. He was like laughing and, showing his personality a lot. So maybe I'm hoping this could be a new coat of paint for Solo and the people can get behind him, because I love Solo. I still love you, Solo. But yeah, did you guys see that apparently they played a video package for Big Cass?
I did not see it. So
I did. At the end, I think we did get a date. It said 8/3. So I think that's the day after SummerSlam. So
yeah. So they're teasing that. But anyway, Snug Wrestling is proud to be sponsored by Distill Union. Since 2011, Distill Union has been creating everyday essentials that prove less really is more. They thoughtfully engineer products that are designed to solve small problems we all deal with every single day. From bulky wallets to messy keys and awkward phone setups, their Wally wallets are slim, stylish, and built with innovative magnetic closures to keep your cards and cash secure without the bulk. Their Ferris modular key organizers use magnets to keep your essentials connected in one clean, streamlined setup. Plus, their phone cases, stands, and accessories bring everyday convenience together with a timeless design. Crafted from premium full-grain leather and backed by a 3-year warranty, Distill Union products are made to last and look better over time. So head over to distillunion.com and use promo code SNUG, and you get 20% off your order. That's distillunion.com, promo code SNUG for 20% off.
All right. And before we move on to the next segment, we had a backstage segment that I want your quick thoughts on. The Vision were looking really proud of themselves after what they did to Otis and Tozawa. And they run into Paul Heyman, who showers them with praise on individual levels. But then there's a question that gets asked by Austin to Heyman. And he says, so does this mean we're all back together? And Heyman goes, well, I mean, from what I can see, you guys have Maxine. What the hell do you need me for? And he just walks off. And commentary asks the question, is this the end of Paul Heyman with the Vision? Stating that he is distracted with Lesnar, but also, is he cutting ties with them? Did he just pass the reins off to Maxine to be their new manager / valet? So I don't know if this is them distancing Paul Heyman from the Vision because they think that what he's doing just isn't working with them anymore, or maybe because they're going a totally different direction with the Vision, that having him spend his time with them just isn't working anymore because, Braun's cooled off so much, and the entire point of this group was to get Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed over. But it does beg the question, but what are your quick thoughts on this, gentlemen?
I think either Heyman is handing a spot over to Maxine, which was stated, or he's just completely done. Well, actually, no, not completely done. He's done for right now. Like he just wants to focus on the stuff between Lesnar and Femi. But I mean, probably when he's done, he goes back to the Vision. But I can also see them just completely getting rid of him in the Vision because I mean, what the hell else is there for to do? Because Maxine looks like a great manager spot, but at the same time, Paul Heyman, he's the veteran. He knows what they need to do. So I don't really know what I want to see come out from this, but I'm excited to see what comes out from it.
The biggest thing is this. The thing that Paul Heyman needs to keep his eyes on and needs his full attention towards at the current moment is Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi, specifically because of the fact that he knows that this is Hell in a Cell, one of the biggest matches that Brock Lesnar has had in the past, with the good old dead man himself twice over. So that's the biggest thing that Heyman needs his attention on. And I think that's what's going on with Paul Heyman and the Vision. It's the fact that he's basically saying, hey, Maxine is there. You take care of the boys. I'm going to focus on Brock Lesnar and what the hell is happening in this cell.
See, that's one of the reasons why I love Paul Heyman so much. Like, he's so unpredictable. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what he's going to say or what he's going to do or what he's planning. Like, one day, 1 second, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm so proud of you guys. Oh, yeah, you guys are doing good. Look, Logan Paul's healing. You guys got the title back. You're sticking next to your lady. And, he makes you think one thing, and then as soon as he walks out the frame, it's like, man, fuck you guys. And then he walks away, and it's like, what is going on? So I don't know, man. Maybe after this Brock Lesnar Oba Femi thing, Brock Lesnar's probably going to go away, and then Paul Heyman comes back to, the Vision. I have no fucking idea if I don't think this is the end of Paul Heyman with the Vision, because what, Maxine Dupree is going to fill in Paul Heyman's shoes? Come on, bro. That's not going to happen. So we'll see.
I do have a prediction. I have a prediction that they separate Paul from the Vision temporarily until after SummerSlam, as you said. But I think when the Vision are looking down, I think he reintroduces himself to the Vision, but he goes, oh, I got a surprise for you. And then he reintroduces Bronson Reed into the group that way. I think that happens after SummerSlam. That would be my prediction. But moving on to Bayley and Lyra in the ring. Bayley calls Lyra down to the ring. Now, this is a mixed bag for me on this one, right? Because I thought Lyra cut a great promo for honestly the first time in a while, because I genuinely don't think she's that good at promos. The cringe part of this entire segment, aside from just the melodrama, was they had Lyra come down in like a fucking like long sleeve shawl or something. And they've like cut holes in it and made it look tattered and worn. And the makeup department like made her look gaunt, like she hadn't been sleeping. Like they like put like what looked to be like to simulate dirt on her face and on her cheek, like she'd been rooting around in the garbage or sleeping in the trash. And I'm like, the fuck is this? I'm like, she was upset. So she just stopped showering and washing her clothes. And it's funny. What I thought was funny was like, she's all ratty and dirty looking, but her shoes are just shiny and clean as fuck. And I'm just like, what is going on here? But basically, she says, that Bayley should apologize to her for dragging her down for a year. And then says the line, every nice thing I said to talk you up and pep you up, I lied. She says, Bayley isn't a leader. She's a doormat. And she says she's the worst member of the 4 horsewomen, which, wow, that's got to sting. I mean, to be fair, She's definitely the least pushed out of the 4 horsewomen in the last 10 years. But worst, nah, no. I think a lot of people would put that on either Sasha Banks, or you could honestly argue it was Becky for the longest time until Becky got over. But then she says, but then Bayley lists her accomplishments and retort. She goes, look, I'm like the first women's Grand Slam champion. Okay, I'm a Royal Rumble winner. I'm first of the 1/2 first ever women's tag team champions. So everything you're saying has been said before, and it's bullshit, and even you don't believe it. Now, this leads into a fight where essentially it looks like, Bayley's going to stand tall. The whole point is it ends up in a match for Saturday night's main event, and it's kind of thrown together again like, here, damn, just put it on Saturday. Fuck SummerSlam. Put it on Saturday. A 1.5 year built story since before last year's WrestleMania, and they're just like, we'll put it on Saturday night's main event. But what did you guys think of this?
I'm starting to like this version of Lyra, not like looks wise, like in ring, like promo, like the character. She's done being the one by the veterans side. She was that with Becky Lynch, and she was that with Bayley. And she wants more than that for herself, and she was drugged down. And she's finally decided to snap. So I want to see how this plays out. I want to see if this isn't I don't honestly think this is a one and done at Saturday night's main event. I think this goes to SummerSlam, but I just want to see how this character plays out, because I feel like we've got just a glimpse. We got the video package that one week, and then tonight I need to see more of this character before I can like really decide if I like it or not, because I'm starting to, but I need more from it.
This was the other segment that was hard to watch for me. It really was. Between how Lyra looked and the fact that she looked like she was homeless and going absolutely insane, even though, as Blood stated, the top half of her looked like she was homeless and going insane. Meanwhile, her shoes were clear as all hell. So clearly I didn't put that much work into her. But this being with Bayley, it hurts me just watching it, because of the fact that Bayley deserves so much more than this hard to watch shit with Lyra Valkyria. That's my biggest problem.
I'm with Toxic on this one. At least they're trying something new, something different with Lyra. And I don't think I've ever seen her wrestle as a heel. So I'm kind of interested to see what that's going to look like at Saturday night's main event. Hopefully Lyra does some fucking heelish cheating and fucking some eye gouging and something dirty like that. That's what I want to see. I want to see Lyra become a fucking nasty heel. That's what I'm hoping for. So yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm interested to see what their match is going to look like at Saturday night's main event, and which I think was a point of doing all this that they did with Lyra coming out looking crazy and, beating up on Bayley. So, I mean, the segment was a little awkward, a little hard to watch, but it got my attention. So I think it worked.
They've just made a lot of very odd decisions with this story. Because remember, Lyra and Bayley go back before WrestleMania 41. And then they randomly pull Bayley off the card and replace her with Becky Lynch, who then turns on Lyra the following night on Monday Night Raw and turns heel. My thing is, like, the weird decisions of let's have them essentially pep each other up by being terrible to each other and insulting each other and mentally like manipulating each other into positivity. Then there was, Bayley has multiple personalities for 2 months, and then we just dropped it like it never happened, and she's just a regular person again, and we never address it ever again. And then here we have this decision. Let's turn Lyra heel, and the promo's great, but let's make her look like a homeless, disheveled fucking cat lady. But her shoes look clean as fuck. And it's like, why is she like, I understand, but she's stood tall against Bayley when she beat the shit out of her. So why is she the one slipping down the rabbit hole like she's lost her whole mind? She's lost everything. She looks like she hasn't gotten any sleep. She's the one who stood tall. So far in this feud, she's up. Bayley's down. So it's weird decisions that make this kind of like inconsistent with itself. But moving on to the gauntlet match, which was Joe Hendry, Dominic Mysterio, Dragon Lee, Rusev, Chad Gable, Ethan Page, and Javon Evans, all in this gauntlet match, this number one contendership match to face Penta at SummerSlam. Now, again, weird decisions tonight where they're like, fuck Saturday night's main event. Let's do everything for 3 weeks from now. And I was like, wait a second. Why are we doing the gauntlet match this early? Because it's the go home show, right? Of Saturday's main event. I would have figured this match would be taking place this weekend. They're like, nope, here's a gauntlet match. We'll deal with it in August. But when it came down to it, we start off, we had Dom versus Hendry. Now, Dom wins because there's constant interference and cheating from JD. Javon versus Dom happens, and Javon pretty much beats Dom with little to no effort because Danhausen comes out, causes a distraction where the curse misses. It's the wrong fucking turnbuckle. I don't know if that was on purpose or if that was an actual it misses just to cause the distraction. The camera people were all over the fucking place and almost missed the OG cutter completely. And then now we have Javon then moving on to face Dragon Lee. This was the highlight of this gauntlet match. Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans got the crowd off their feet or onto their feet. They were chanting, "This is awesome." They were screaming and cheering. The near falls had them when Dragon Lee finally hits the tornado DDT and Javon kicks out. The audience went ape shit. This was, in my opinion, the highest point of this match. And then it kind of goes downhill from there. Not in a bad way, but the ride down from that high slowly goes down. Now, Javon basically beats Lee with a quick roll-up, an O'Connor roll. And then we get Rusev who comes out and just jumps Javon, puts him in the acolyte over and over and over again. And again, we're putting some respect on Javon. He fights out from underneath this thing, I think 3 times before he finally just passes out in the move. But this was a great effort in building Javon in this match. If you ask me, that's the greatest success of this gauntlet match, building Javon Evans. Then we get Rusev versus Chad, which again was really good. But by this point, I think we all knew who was winning this. Chad beats Rusev, I think if I remember correctly, due to a roll-up, another roll-up. And then we have Ethan Page who comes out after Chad gets put in the acolyte by Rusev, essentially holding him there to make him fresh meat for Ethan, but it doesn't work. Chad still gets the win by submission. He is your new number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship against Penta at WWE SummerSlam in 2026, just a couple of weeks from now. I'm glad Chad won. I wanted him to win. I'm like, yes, let's rejuvenate Chad. Let's make it great. I really hope he wins at SummerSlam. But the right guy won. But the biggest success of this entire thing to me was having Javon go through 3 matches and just look like an absolute star. But what did you guys think of this?
I wasn't expecting Dom and Joe to start. I mean, Dom maybe, but I wasn't expecting Joe to start. So I think that was a cool decision, but this has honestly been Joe's best match on the main roster. I don't even think I can name any other match outside of Austin Theory. That's the only match that he's had. But that was a good match itself. Javon being third, I got hyped for, and I really wish I could have been there, but I can watch it at home. I really like to see more Javon Evans versus Dominic Mysterio, because this is only our second one, and they put on such a great one last time in the Elimination Chamber qualifying match with Gunther. So, yeah, and I fucking love that move when he just runs around the entire ring and then jumps into timekeeper zone. They need a name for that because I'm just tired of calling it that. But personally, I thought Dragon and Javon were just moving way too fast for each other, but it kind of worked, but I don't know. But the highlight for me, it's not really a highlight, but one part I want to point out is that shot of Javon and Dragon Lee just shaking hands, showing respect for each other. And then the arena darkens and Rusev's music hits, and you can just see the orange light. That gave Rusev an entirely new vibe for me. So, unfortunately, one of my picks, Javon Evans, lost, but Chad was another pick for me, and I think it was inevitable for him to win. And was one of the two right choices. I thought Javon was a right choice because honestly, I think anyone takes it or Chad takes it off Penta. I thought anyone in this match can take it off Penta at SummerSlam, but I'm happy Chad won.
Yeah, as soon as this match was announced, I had a feeling like Chad Gable was going to win. I mean, look where SummerSlam is at. Brock Lesnar may be from Minnesota, but good old Chad Gable is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where SummerSlam will fully be held. So I had a feeling like Chad Gable was going to absolutely take it. And I will absolutely give it to Javon because Javon had a phenomenal showing. He really did. It was absolutely insane with how much this man could take and all the punishment that this man took. What I did find interesting is the fact that Rusev tried to give Chad Gable to Ethan Page on a silver platter, full on holding that acolyte in up until Ethan Page got to the ring. Once that happened, that's when he released it and decided to leave. So he attempted at least to give Chad Gable on a silver platter. Unfortunately, that did not work properly.
Yeah, great gauntlet match. Lots of action, lots of wrestling, which is always nice to see because a lot of times we feel like we don't get enough wrestling on these WWE shows, but tonight we did. At least that's what it felt like to me. I thought everyone looked really good, including Javon Evans, and my boy Dragon Lee looked really good as well, which is always nice to see. But I do got to give credit to creative and the writers because I feel like they get shitted on a lot. But this right here, this doesn't just happen by accident. This was a long-term storytelling. Chad Gable was Penta's first match when Penta debuted a long time ago. And everything that happened with Chad Gable going to Mexico, becoming a Grande Americano, feuding with the Luchadors, being unmasked, turning good guy. And then, you know, he comes back for like this big, I guess like redemption story, right? SummerSlam is in his hometown. He wins the gauntlet. Now he's going to face Penta at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship that Chad Gable has never been able to win. He's been so close, but he's never been able to do it. And he goes up against someone who he has a lot of history with, you know. It's just, this stuff just doesn't happen by accident. The story does not write itself, people. And it's going to be amazing. All the stars aligned for this match, it felt like. And everything about this is just fucking perfect. The only thing is Chad Gable has to win it at SummerSlam, and I love Penta so much. But I don't love Chad Gable more than Penta. That's the only thing for me. But other than that, fucking cinema, bro.
Yeah, I think Chad's definitely going to win it. And I do like Chad more than Penta. But that's only because the style of wrestling Chad does is my favorite style. So, but when it comes down to it, I think Penta and Chad have the potential to genuinely steal the show the entire weekend. Like we know the Hell in a Cell is going to be a big deal. We know Roman and Seth are going to tear it down. But if you talk about in-ring work rate, oh, those guys are going to be something to fucking watch. But when it comes down to it, we have our main event, the contract signing between Roman and Seth. Now, this is the point I made earlier where I said, I know that we call Roman a tweener. And a lot of people say tweener leans heel. We think the bloodline are already heel. Okay. Then why did, when Roman came down, he dapped up the first guy wearing a red glove, a red Superman punch glove. Then on the way down to the ring, he slaps fives with a kid and daps another kid. Doesn't sound like a heel to me, because when's the last time you honestly saw Roman interact with the audience on the way to the ring? How often do you see Roman dap up people, slap hands? Fucking never, almost. So that told me, I'm like, I think he's a babyface still. Now the crowd does this great thing, right? Seth is out there, but the crowd is battling over chants. They are literally chanting OTC and singing Seth's song at the same time. Like, it was pretty interesting to listen to. It was cool. Roman says Seth is only number one at being his hater. After everything he said last week, even calls Seth out saying, after you were boring us all to tears last week, I wish they were chanting OTC, because then this shit would have been interesting. Because there was a lot of flack online that Seth's promo last week were really, really bad. Was really, really bad. And that LA basically saved last week's segment. Roman says that he's going to prove that Seth could never be on his level. And then Roman asks Seth, after Seth signs the contract and tries to, get out of the ring and just saunter off, he gets called out, and Roman goes, well, hold on, Seth. Let's ask the other question. What if you win? Let's say you do win. What happens? You hold it for a couple more months and then you get hurt again? Because Roman says, even after all these years, not only can Seth not handle being a top guy, he can't handle the weight and the pressure of it, and that's why his body gives out. It's almost like self-sabotage. He says after all these years, Seth can only be champion if he wins Money in the Bank, which, when you really think about all of Seth's main title reigns, or his most important ones, he's really comes down to being the right guy at the right place at the right time. It gets handed to him, or he cashes in on somebody. Seth then says he's proud of who he is. He's proud of what he's done, what he's accomplished, and that his dreams aren't worth anything. And if that's all Roman's got to say, then Roman's basically just full of shit, and that there's really nothing Roman can do to him. And he ends the promo on a great line where he says, because you are this, you are that, but I am a visionary. I am a revolutionary. I am Seth freaking Rollins. And I would want to be me every day of the week. I would never want to be you. I'm glad I'm not you. And then he decks him in the face. They brawl. He gets a pedigree on Roman after Roman tries to put him through a table and stomps Roman. And then basically Seth stands tall. But what did you guys think of this segment? Myself personally, I thought, if I was comparing it to the Roman Punk stuff before Mania, I thought this was good, but I did for some reason think that it was weaker. It was a bit weak. I thought their promo segment 2 weeks ago was stronger because it felt more real, more personal. It wasn't so jokey and one-linery. It felt like they were really shooting on each other. And I preferred that to this.
This was a great segment, but the major thing I have for this is that we all said that this didn't need to get physical, but if they were to get physical, this was the place to do it. Because, I mean, let's be real. When are contract signings ever peaceful? Never. This was the sign that they were getting physical. As soon as you saw that the contract signing was announced, this was the sign that they were getting physical with each other. And it still did what it needed to do. It still added what it needed to add. And honestly, I hope they get physical for the next 2 weeks until SummerSlam, because it did what it needed to do.
What I love is the fact that Roman did what Roman does best, and Roman did exactly what he wanted to do in this segment, which is he 100% got into Seth's head. You could tell during that brawl when you could hear what Seth was saying over that mic. He's like, I know who I am, you bitch. I know exactly who I am. I know who you are. I can do this. I know exactly who I am with this. So the fact that he's needing to say that for himself, it's proving that what Roman is doing is working. It's getting into Seth Rollins' head, and it's perfect. I absolutely love this, and honestly, this was my favorite segment of the night by far.
Bro, Roman Reigns is a dick, bro. Like, how can you sit there and still question, oh, he's a babyface, he fist pumped this kid? Everything you just said, Blood, that Roman was cutting down Seth Rollins, saying, oh, what's gonna happen if you become champion? You're just gonna get injured because you fucking suck. And what else did he say? He was like, your daddy Triple H is even helping you out, and you still have to win Money in the Bank. You can't just win a championship without, doing all these things. You're not on my level. And it's Seth Rollins, the one that it's like, he's the one that's like having like this fucking trying to overcome what this Roman Reigns is saying to him. Like, nah, like, I don't want to be like you. I'm me. To me, Seth Rollins is more the babyface in this situation.
So
Not
hold on
Roman.
a second.
Roman
Wait.
is a dick.
So wait, Roman, hold on. We disagree here. How is Roman a dick? He told the truth. What part of what he said is a lie? So let me put it this way. So if I tell the truth, but we're in an argument, so I tell the truth in a meaner tone, I'm a dick. I spoke no lies.
It's the way that
true.
he says it, though. It's the
It doesn't
way
matter.
how he comes off. He's
So
like,
what? So what? Like we haven't heard Seth talk down to Roman like that before? Come on.
when?
For a year and a half, when has Seth not talked down to everybody in the ring? Even when he's a baby
Roman Reigns, like you said, Roman Reigns. Maybe in the past, yes, but I'm talking about like now, today, Roman Reigns is the one that's like cutting down Seth, making it seem like, oh, you're beneath me. You're not as good as me. You're not on my level. And then Seth is the one that's having to prove himself to him and to Roman and to everyone like a babyface.
Oh no. Millionaire Seth Rollins, who was literally handpicked by the corporate company to take the title off of Roman at WrestleMania and be the centerfold group of the authority for over a year and a half, where they made him a double champion with the United States and world titles, where he was beating and pinning Randy Orton and Kane and freaking everybody under the sun. This poor guy was being held down by Roman. Get the fuck out of here. Roman spoke facts. You are number 2. I am number 1. You don't draw as much money as me. In the ring, sure, whatever. But where it counts, you're not better than me. That's the truth. Because here is Roman in the business. Here's Seth. Seth is here. He's not even number 2. Cody's number 2. Okay? It goes like Roman, Cody, Punk, Rhea, then Seth.
Look, I don't deny that people love Roman. Yes, they love Roman. He's a huge star and he's over. And people love Seth too. People are going to cheer for Roman no matter what. But he's a fucking dick.
If you ask me, Roman was being generous. Roman was being generous calling Seth number 2. Because if you ask most of the fans, he's not even number 3. He's number 5. And that's Roman being generous, calling him number 2, even though CM Punk's on the other brand as the other champion. So when it comes down to it, Roman might have said it, but they're like brothers. They're going to argue and one up each other and fight each other. So Roman's not really a dick. I mean, let's not forget, Roman's a dick. But that's funny because I remember Seth, when Seth was a babyface, he unceremoniously stomped Roman's lights out when Roman was a face outside of the ring in the Royal Rumble. He crushed his freaking face when they were already eliminated. So
How
like
long ago was
last
that?
year's Rumble.
that was just last year.
Yeah,
when
but
Seth
we're
was
talking
still
about now.
Yeah,
today,
but I'm talking about
in
yeah, but I'm
present
talking.
time.
It doesn't matter. I'm making a comparison. They were both baby faces at that time. They're both baby faces now. And then Seth unceremoniously crushed Roman's head when they were already out of the match. So, like,
Okay,
if
let's
Seth can
just-
be a dick, why can't
let's
Roman
just-
be a dick?
Okay. I'm just talking about tonight. All right. Let's forget about everything. Let's forget about the history. Let's forget about all of that. From where I'm standing tonight, Roman Reigns was trying to talk down to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins got mad and he stomped out Roman Reigns. And from where I'm standing, Roman Reigns was the bully, and Seth Rollins knocked his ass out, and everyone was happy about it. Like,
But Roman-
that's how I saw it from where I'm standing.
I see it from Roman was defending himself because he wasn't there last week when Seth came out to speak all that nonsense that put half the audience to sleep. Seth went out there and tried to paint Roman when Roman wasn't there to defend himself as the villain of their story. Like, oh, well, the only reason I betrayed Roman was because they chose him over me. Not that Roman did anything wrong, but because they picked him other than me, and that's why he's had everything handed to him, and he took my dreams. Like what was Roman supposed to do? Nah, man, fuck the money and taking care of my family. I give all the opportunity to you.
Well,
Seth is a fucking whiny bitch who's sitting there trying to play victim, and Roman smacked the victim mentality out of his mouth. Roman did what a brother's supposed to do and set Seth straight.
Well, tonight I felt bad for Seth Rollins because Roman Reigns is a prick. It's that simple for me. And I kind of want to see Seth win, but we'll talk about that when we do predictions for SummerSlam whenever we decide.
I mean, I personally, to end on this, I don't think Roman's a dick for standing up for himself when he's actually in the building. Because if he would have been there last week, he would have batted that shit down. Look, you can't if you're gonna look, you talk that
would
shit
mean he would have to show up to work. But all right.
He's earned the right to not have to. If Seth takes plenty of time off of work. If he stopped getting injured, he'd be there longer too. But at the end of the day, tell me when Roman's telling lies. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Snug Wrestling. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of you for supporting the show. Catch us live every Monday after Raw, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific for our NXT post-show reviews. And then every Thursday at that exact same time on TikTok Live, where we discuss random and relevant wrestling topics and answer your fan questions live. And every Sunday at those same times for our SmackDown post-show reviews. Now, remember, guys, we go live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, Instagram, and Kick for every live episode of Snug Wrestling. And mark your calendars, because this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, we are doing our predictions for Saturday night's main event. So come hang out with us for that. And remember to follow Snug Wrestling everywhere on social media, Apple and Spotify, and grab your merch for the podcast at teepublic.com. That's teepublic.com/Snug Wrestling. And remember to check out our sponsors in the descriptions below. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. Gentlemen, I said that was one time for the one time. I said that was
4 letters.
4 letters.
1 word.
1 word.
Yeet.
Yeet.
Roman's a dick.